Disclaimer. This podcast showcases business partners and friends that engage in lively conversations about books over many drinks. Content may not be suitable for viewers under 21.
Go for it.
We'll do that.
All right.
I put it in and stopped watching it. So I remember Kristen was watching it with me. You guys have to watch.
Is it recording, puppy?
I just want to swap out the cork. I don't like the way that brown cork looks just sitting. It looks like the bottle's trying to shit it out. I want to replace the top.
Wait, flip it then? Here, let's just flip it.
Yeah, what?
Flip it.
Flip it?
No, it'll be a little hard.
Here, this one. That Christmas one? No, this one.
I just don't want cork to fall into it. There we go.
Kevin wants to give us a pretty plug.
Well, I don't want a flat to go in there either. Well, it's up to you. You don't need to have to have it.
It's so short. No,
okay.
I think we'll be okay. So here. And I started.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did it went in?
It's okay.
No,
I don't want it.
That's what she said.
Episode of Books and Booze.
I'm Leilani.
And I am Kristen. Oh, I totally tapped this. Say your name again.
I'm Leilani.
And I am Kristen. And we created this podcast in hopes to bring you on a journey with us of literature and various libations to kind of introduce the fun side of business. I mean, business can always be fun.
Yes.
But it's even more fun when you grab a good book,
get some awesome booze,
and grab a great buddy to share it with. Hello.
Cheers.
Right. Are we ready for this?
What are we drinking?
Let me have a sip.
What was it? I love this one.
You've had this one before?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so this is from the San Sebastian Winery, which is up in St. Augustine. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. And this is still a family-run winery, which is awesome. It was started in 1996 by that's when the winery up in San Sebastian, I guess, opened. But the Cox family has been running a winery, I guess, near Lakeside, Lake Ridge, something like that? Yeah. Lake Ridge Winery, so very close to us.
Yeah, we're in Orlando, and Lake Ridge Winery is in Claremont. So it's about 35, 45 hour, depending on traffic.
Yeah.
And
4 hours, depending on traffic.
Depending on traffic. And it's very beautiful. I mean, it's probably the highest altitude in Central Florida, so we're not speaking much here, guys. But it is very beautiful, has nice rolling hills. And it is, yes, we're a small family. It was a father who started, and he had a farm, and he started with, it was a minimal acreage. He didn't really have a lot of experience, but it was something he really wanted to do, and so he did it, and then he started bringing his children in, to start helping him do it and stuff like that. And so San Sebastian is actually a satellite winery from Lake Ridge Winery. Mm-hmm. San Sebastian is located in St. Augustine, and if you've never been to St. Augustine, it's the oldest city
in America.
Yeah, it is the oldest city. And they have these trolleys and tourist carts that you can go around, and San Sebastian Winery is actually one of the stops on those tourist trolleys.
Yep.
And you can see I'm really in love with and what I really love about San Sebastian and Lake Ridge is the fact that they use muscadine grapes, which are native to Florida.
Yep, and Florida and Georgia, right?
Yep, and they are very, very sweet. The outer shell is very hard, so that what we call the concha is very hard. You can't really digest it, but when you peel it off and you get to the meat, super, super sweet. And this wine embodies that sweetness. So if you ever really wanted to know what a muscadine grape tastes like,
this is the wine to
pick up the bottle, yes, and you'll be able to. And it's just, it's sweet.
It is. It's a sweeter, but not like a Moscato sweet.
No, it's not like a Moscato sweet. And that's why it's just very grapey, but it's that muscadine grape that's in there. And so it's just really, really enjoyable. And it's something that, most people that are not really into sweet wines would say, oh my gosh, it's too sweet.
Which I'm not. I'm more like, I like crisps.
Me too. Yeah. I like a dry red or a semi-sweet or a semi-dry red. But in this case, cold like this.
Cold like this.
On a summer day.
Like this.
Nailed it.
Right?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it's almost 90 degrees.
I know.
So, friends, what we've done is we have picked books that you really can digest on your 1 week summer vacation.
Yep.
So each week through the month of June here, we'll be going through a different book and a different winery. Right? We've done spirits all year so far, but we're branching into the wineries.
We are. I guess you don't know. I'm telling you now. I like a good glass of wine at the end of the night.
Especially on a hot summer night.
Exactly. You see us over here drinking libations, but folks, this is not our everyday go-to. I'm drinking gin and vodka. No, a good. She's like, speak for yourself. For me, actually, I like a good glass of wine, and so I love the twist that we're doing now because books and wine they do go well together.
Absolutely,
too. Yeah.
Absolutely. So one of the things I like to tie this particular the San Sebastian Winery to this particular book. Well, the building, it's one of the older buildings built by Henry Flagler in St. Augustine. The building itself was built in 1923. Now, this particular book was written in the early 1920s, and George Clason he lived in the same era of like the Rockefellers, Carnegie, all of those wealth magnates.
Really wealthy magnates.
Yes. Yeah. And I know that Rockefeller and Flagler were contemporaries, and he actually had come to Florida. So part of me wonders in this realm of when Clason wrote this, I mean, who knows who he knew? Maybe he was at networking events with Rockefeller. Maybe he even met Flagler. I couldn't find any proof of it anywhere. Yeah. It's possible. I mean, all of the wealthy merchants and investors would come to vacation in Florida, and St. Augustine was one of the premier places because it was first on the train stop on down. So part of me wonders at some point, did Clason meet and talk with Henry Flagler in St. Augustine, maybe, or at least Rockefeller, or they talked about that city, and I don't know. I wonder.
He was part of the club, right?
He was part of the club, absolutely. Yeah. So, yes, this is the era that this was written in, and I do want to make this crystal clear. This book is actually a work of fiction.
So I was surprised. She hinted a little bit about that to me. I hadn't read this until Kristen had recommended me to read this to be here and record for you guys. So I read it, and it was a fantastic story. And I actually thought it was based on truth. Like I didn't know it was fiction because it was written so well, Mm-hmm.
So here is the truth around this era, though. In the early 1900s, and late 1800s, like historic things coming out of Egypt and other ancient civilizations was running rampant. Like everybody was wanting to get their hands on artifacts and things like this. So something that truly did happen is in 1901, archaeologists had recovered something from Hammurabi's code, and it was like this device, and it was one of the oldest.
Okay, that part's true.
That part is absolutely true. Yes, and on Hammurabi's code is all sorts of best practices and laws and things like that. And it's laws. Some of the laws go into how you pay off debts and commerce and things like this. So this would have been, just circulating in newspapers around the influential growth period for Clason. So I can't help but think that he's drawing information from, Hammurabi's code. Well,
that's what I thought it was, really. I thought he was, it's like the Dead Sea Scrolls. I was like, he found some tablet, Dead Sea Scroll type of things, and it was reminiscent to the times really hadn't changed too much as far as debts and the financial system and stuff. And so that's what I thought. He just went and manipulated the book around the tablets that he found.
Well, so he doesn't quote that this is Hammurabi's code in it, but when you read into those, and you also read into other great historical works, I mean, there's even some things you can find, whether you're religious or not, but even in the Bible, some really great practices for, just building wealth and things like that, which I find so fascinating.
Yeah.
So this is the era here. So he digs into this. Like when you open this book, you're reading about two friends, Banser and Kobe. And if I am butchering these names, I am so sorry. Like this is how I hear them in my head. Banser and Kobe. Banser and Kobe.
Maybe Bansier.
Banser,
Kobe.
I'm not sure. But anyway, so you open the book to them talking, and I guess Bansier is a chariot driver, or not chariot driver, chariot maker, and he's just feeling discouraged. You know, how many times do we reference, like, you know, when you're hitting the grind and you just feel exhausted, you feel hopeless, like your money's, you work
There's
hard
only
for your
so
money.
many hours in a day, and if you're the only one doing the work, right, then you're limited to your income potential.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So they're talking, and Kobe's like, you know what? Do you remember our friend? I guess his name is Arcade. I'm not sure again on these pronunciations, but they said, our friend, you know, we grew up with him. Well, he's now known as the richest man in Babylon. Why don't we go talk to him and see what he has to say? Because how is it that three friends that came from the same neighborhood, brought up in similar family circumstances? And we see this. You know, there's several other books I know we're going to read over our kaboom! There's several other books that I know we're going to read over this summer, and these principles are the same. Like, wealth doesn't happen only to certain people. It doesn't happen because of where you live. It happens based on a series of things that you do intentionally. So this really where the gist of this book heads, right? So there they are. They go meet their friend Arcade, and he says to them, well, really, if you're not wealthy like he is, it's one of two reasons. Either you haven't learned the laws of how to build wealth, or you're not observing those laws.
Yeah, I like that. I that was impactful too. I was like, yeah, I agree.
Well, it's kind of that once you're given information, what do you choose to do with it?
Yeah, because you can, it's like when you go to school, they're teaching you in theory what you should do, right? That's the theoretical side of stuff. But afterwards, are you putting it to practice?
Putting it into action, absolutely. Or when you listen to podcasts like this, they recommend these books that can transform your business world and your personal life. Yeah, what do you do with that information?
Yeah, exactly. You can hear us talk about it, but afterwards, what do you do to putting it into
action?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things I know we try to make crystal clear with our clients, with Sage Consultants. Like, we can give you the pathway. We can show you. We can make suggestions. But you really have to put things into action and keep these things going, right? So he says, okay, so either you don't know the laws or you aren't putting them in action. And Arcade, he goes through his own story. He's like, he was a poor scribe. And it wasn't until one of the wealthy moneylenders came in, he had the intestinal fortitude, if you will, to say, how do I make money?
Yeah, because I like how you said that, the intestinal fortitude. Because it's one thing where, you know, I've come across, you know, many individuals that will say, I'm unhappy in my current circumstance. They have read books that will tell them, well, go do this, this. They go and they attempt this, and understand that sometimes they need a little bit more hand-holding, or they need someone to model or someone to converse with that can help them digest the steps a little bit better, but they lack the intestinal fortitude to ask for help.
Grit, yes, to ask for help and be vulnerable.
Right? Be vulnerable.
Yes.
Oh, that's huge. Yeah. Be vulnerable.
Yeah. If you don't know, it's okay.
It's okay. Ask for help.
Ask for help. But when somebody gives that to you, then how do you put it into action?
And be humble enough to take it.
Yes, exactly. So their friend tells them that wealth is like a tree. It grows from a tiny seed. And I think this is what I like throughout this whole book. They drop these little nuggets of wisdom in it. Yeah. But it's so true. So the main lesson that the main lesson the richest man of Babylon leaves with his two friends is that he learned to save a part of what he makes. He pays himself first. I know one of the books we're going to get into is Profit First. But he always kept in this particular book. I think he said it was a tenth of what he made.
And that's
always.
It's a repeating thing you'll hear in this book because he keeps talking about a tenth. But this isn't the only book that talks about it.
The Bible talks about it. I mean, they talk about it more for tithing and everything, but still the concept of pulling part of what you owe.
Well, did you know the etymology in tithes is 10%? Like 10, the number 10.
Interesting.
Yeah. I learned that one recently. So it is 10% seems to be a repeating. And this is not just here in The Richest Man in Babylon. You know, Prophet First talks about it too. You talk about the Bible talks about it. When we start diving into more, you know, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, all of those
all
things.
These books
that
talk about setting aside a portion of what you earn for you.
Yeah, and it seems to be the consensus is 10%.
Yeah. Absolutely. It can always grow, but it's never less than.
Yeah.
Never less than.
Yeah.
So then in the next part of the story, apparently the king is talking to some of his advisors and he's wondering why there is poverty in his city. He's like, there's so much abundance in this land. And I mean, we live here in America. We're wondering that ourselves. Like, why?
You know? It's funny. We just had I forget who I was talking to. It was a conversation about, why doesn't everyone just get like a percentage? Like if we just go and give money to everyone, instead of sending it money over here, we give money to everyone. It's like, but giving money to everyone is not going to
Isn't the solve.
Yeah, it will make them
wealthy.
The choices that they're going to make.
Right. You know, I was listening, I think it was Jim Rohn. You know, I love to listen to him. He had said, if you took all the money in the world and redistributed it fairly to everybody, within a few years it would be back in the pockets of the same people that it's in right now.
Yeah.
Because of choices you make and what you do with your money and your perceptions. Yes,
100%
absolutely.
agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think this is why, you know, a lot of people don't think to go and ask to someone who is wealthy and successful, how did you do it?
Yeah.
And then listen and do what they've said, because we're almost raised even through school and then when we work for corporates to just be handheld, to be taught to do a certain task, and then that's it. So if we're not really shown how to take wealth or take money and build it and put it to work for yourself and everything like that. So very interesting. So the king, he's frustrated because he wants more of his kingdom to be even more wealthy, his people, not him. He wants his people to be more wealthy. So his advisors say, well, why don't we bring Arcaden and I think it was 100 men or something like that. It was a group of men that the king pulled together, and his goal was to teach them how to grow wealth.
Yeah.
So he had, I think it was 7 principles, or he called it 7 cures for a lean purse.
I like that. Yeah.
7 cures for a lean purse. So, and he does this, you know, he expands in this, and this is such a great book, and you can see it's pretty thin. I mean, honestly, you could probably do this in one day on the beach.
Yeah. One day, two if you're just taking a break because you fell asleep.
Yeah. But the very first cure is to start your purse for fattening, and that's where he says a tenth of what you earn is yours to keep. You know, so the same thing he told his 2 friends, he's teaching this group of, right? And as you can, so you get paid 10, he says 10 coins. You always keep 1 in, and the other 9 have to go pay things. The next week, you get another 10 coins. You keep 1. The other
goes
10
in the purse.
Yep. So soon, your purse is naturally going to expand.
So if you have 10 coins, let's just imagine. I like to imagine when he was saying this, you've got 2 purses, actually, right? So in the 2 purses, 1 purse is, you got 10 coins, 1 coin goes in 1 purse, the other 9 goes out of the other purse, and that's where you're paying your expenses out of, is through the 1 purse that has the 9 coins. But go ahead, continue.
And and it's what it makes you feel like too, as your purse is growing. You know, it feels really good to have a little something. He says jingling at your side. I know we don't walk around with little leather pouches anymore.
I'll start doing it,
right?
You know,
start a trend.
Some gold coins in there.
Coins.
No, it does. It does. When you log in and you start seeing, you know,
that little bit
multiple
growing.
digits instead of, you know, goes from 1 to 2 to 3 to, you know, you start feeling like,
you feel it. You feel accomplished, and it motivates you even more. Yep. So the second cure for that lean purse is to control your expenditures. And this is, I think, really hard to do, especially with that whole that you can see what's happening on social media with, wealthy lifestyles, and I think a lot of the danger, keeping up with the Joneses. And I think a lot of us are trained to, the minute we have that little extra money, splurge on a luxury. But it's not the time yet.
It's not the time. and you're right. Controlling your expenditures is, it could be seen as one of the hardest, because we just told you, okay, you have 10 coins. 1 coin is going into that purse, right? Now you've got 9 coins. But if your bills are only 4 of those coins, I'm going to let the other 5 coins reign because I've got an extra 5 coins. But that's not what he means by control your expenditures. We're going to dive into that.
And he brings up a really interesting point that if you take 2 families, both with 2 kids each, like we're a household of 4, you might be able, through smart budgeting, smart shopping, smart planning, to run on X amount income. Whereas maybe a family like ours, and we don't do that, and so we haven't lived on that. And we might say, how on earth could I ever feed my family on $200, a month? Yeah. I couldn't do it. And you're like, I've been doing it, So it's about, how do you learn? And we're not paws going everywhere.
Sound like one got hurt.
So I think it's being planful, being smart, and make sure you pay your bills first. He doesn't get as much he does get into really investing your money too. Yeah. So the third cure is to make your gold multiply. So now that you've kept a 10th, you've budgeted, you learn how to make some investments. And your first ones are probably not going to be good investments. He made a mistake. Yeah. He asked a brick seller to help him invest in jewels. Yeah. And lost all of his year's worth of saving those 1 coin a week.
Bad investment, because he thought, of course, when someone is telling you what they want to do, it sounds great. They paint a pretty picture. But then you have to dive deeper and say, do they really know what they're talking about? Which he talks about in the next one.
So make your gold multiply. And then he's, 4th one is guard your treasures from loss. Yes. Yep. Misfortune loves a shiny mark. And he talks about, people are going to come at you. I have this business idea. I need this.
Well, even in the stock market, I've had my fair share of losses in the stock market. And I remember, one of my mentor goes and says, it's think of all the time it took you to gain the money you earned in the stock market. It only takes one bad decision to lose all of it, but it'll take you 3 times longer to get it back.
But you will get it back. Yeah. This is the thing to learn.
Right. You will get it back. It will be a little bit longer than it took me to lose it to get it back. No, not maybe. Because in the end, if you come with the mentality of, oh, maybe, that's a gamble. You see, and that's where, that's part of.
So have the mindset, be planful, stick at it. Okay. His 5th cure is to make thy dwelling profitable. We should speak with thys and I. Thou. Shall. Shan't. Make thy dwelling profitable. He alludes to the fact of getting it paid off as soon as possible, so it's not another expense that you're paying at. He was hinting at, a happy wife has a plot of land to be able to grow stuff on. That's where I saw profit. I was like, oh, can you, can you rent it out, or can you, grow stuff on it that you can sell at market? That's how I'm seeing making it profitable also. Yeah. So, yeah.
Make your decisions based on can you earn from it versus it being a liability. Right? And that's where he was talking about that, make it profitable. So if you're going to do something and purchase something, is there a way to make that purchase profitable versus it just sitting there and it's a liability? So that was nice. It's funny because this and that, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and this one go really well together.
They sure do. Yeah. I know.
I'm almost wondering if Rich Dad, Robert Kiyosaki actually read this before he went and authored the book.
It's very possible. Right? I think you meet these people who are wildly successful, and the thing in common, there's many things in common, but the thing in common I find most is they read a lot.
Yeah. Well, Patrick Bet-David, that's the one thing he talked about in Next 5 Moves. He's like, read
more.
Consume all the information you can.
Yep. Interesting. And isn't that the 7th cure? Increase thy ability thine ability to earn. So basically, better yourself.
Yeah.
Teach yourself another skill, another trade, make yourself more marketable.
Yeah.
I really love those quotes that, you know, things will grow for you when you work on yourself.
100%.
So true. Whether you're in a corporate environment or not, like, I know we got a ways to go here yet.
I know it might have to be 2 episodes. I'm thinking
maybe it is. But anyway, so those were the 7 cures. And then as we move through the book, he goes through different, like, little, almost short stories of people that have gone through different things. And it's always tied to a lesson. And one of the ones I really liked was that men of action are favored by the goddess of good luck.
it's like fortune favors the bold. I like that. When they said that, I was like, fortune favors the bold, kind of hand in hand. Yeah, and it's true. Act. We did that interview, and you know, what was my best advice to someone? Take action.
Take action. Yep.
Don't say do.
Get up and do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So in this particular part of the book, Kate, he sends his son out into the world. He's like, you're old enough. I have this amazing fortune, and you will not inherit my fortune if you cannot manage it. So go forth, son. I'm going to give you a bag of gold and some tablets of wisdom for how to grow money. Yep.
And a slave.
Yep. So the son goes out, and they don't dig really deep into it, but basically he doesn't even look at the tablets yet and just squat.
The kid's like, I got a bag of gold. I'm going to go and get everything that my father wasn't going to get me, and I'm going to go do it, and then I'll be fine, because guess what? There'll be enough gold left over to get it all back and some. So when you're young, you have this arrogance about you. What I really love is the father went and said, okay, let's see
what you can do. Yep. So he has this bag of money, but then he lands up losing, I think, almost all of it. Yeah,
no,
it's gone.
all of it.
That's right.
And he had to sell his slave
for some money to start again. Right.
Yeah, and then he had to go work for a corporation.
Yep.
You know, he can earn some money back. And then he went. I'll condense this for you. Then he went. And he worked for a corporation. He gained some money back, only to make bad investments with other people, and he squandered that away again. And he went and he got some money back, and then finally he started looking at the tablets and saying, hey, maybe there's some stuff in here I need to do. Okay, continue.
So the 5 laws of gold that were on these tablets that before he even started divvying out his purse, he should have looked at.
You know, I just thought of, we're eating these grapes. Are you going to hear me eat this on camera?
I have no clue. Munch, munch, munch. We're about to find out. All right, so 5 laws of gold, which is written on these tablets that the son didn't read. That gold cometh gladly and increasing quantity to any man who will put not less than 1/10 of his earnings away, basically.
Yeah.
And then the second law is that gold laboreth diligently and contentedly for the wise owner who finds it profitable, right? So it's going to work for you if you're diligent with it.
Yeah.
Third law is gold clingeth to protection of the cautious owner, which is what he taught, right? Fourth, gold slippeth away from the man who invests in purposes he's not familiar.
I love that one. That one,
that's huge.
That's huge. Gosh, I don't know how many times I've come across, great opportunities, right? For whether it be an investment or business opportunity, or someone approached me with an idea, and I'm like, is it a fantastic idea? Sure. Could we make a lot of money? Yeah. Is it anything I know about? No. And so the part that comes into play is the person who is pitching the idea or talking to you about it as an opportunity, do they have
enough
experience
about it?
Yes. To say, hey, we can make this, we can do this. This is a profitable thing. You know, don't worry. You follow my lead, and we're going to make a lot of money because I've done this for so many years, or whatever, right? And so that's the part where I was like, yeah.
Because it's easy. And that's the other thing. I think there's so many things out there on social media, like, oh, quit your 9 to 5, do this instead. It's so easy. But if it's not something you ever specialized in, you know, I even at one point was kind of caught up in something, you know, my area of specialty in all my years was never specifically marketing and advertising.
Yeah.
So why would I go into something that's marketing and advertising as my own personal business where I only report to myself, right?
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say I couldn't choose to learn it, and which I did. But not.
Then there's a learning curve to that, and there's time that's taken. But for example, Kristen's main specialty in you know, her corporate background is everything around retail, branding, teamwork, you know, sales and sales and development. So she could take the same principles she learned there and apply it to her own business, but you would need to get a marketing person in to collaborate with you on your. Deficit is the only word I'm thinking about, but I don't like the word deficit. But you know what I mean?
Yes, I've honed in on my entire life on developing leaders and creating a selling culture and building brands. Done that. Yeah,
like a prime example here with Books and Booze and Sage. I mean, the color scheme, the font, everything she's decided on. That didn't even. And I wasn't even thinking about that because that's not my background, right? And so I really appreciated she came in and she was all about it.
Mood board,
she had all that, and then everything is consistent. It took me 10 years to get to consistency level. She's brought something on in such a short period of time. So I definitely that. Was it the gold law?
Yeah, the fourth law.
The fourth law. I know it's one of the gold laws. Yeah. You know, make sure that you are either knowledgeable in what it is or you're pairing up with someone who is. Because if not, you'll lose your gold.
Yep. Yeah. And I feel like the fifth law kind of ties into that too. Gold will flee the man who will force it to impossible earnings if you follow like tricksters, schemers. You know, be honest with what you do.
Yeah,
and work with honest people.
And so, yes, be honest. And I wanna elaborate on tricksters and schemers. They're out there, even on YouTube, right? So just understand who you're watching. Everyone is putting their best face forward, right?
Always.
So I just think about the day trading thing, and this is not about anyone who day trades are not profitable. I've met many of people who day trade and are very profitable. But what you're seeing out there on YouTube, if they tell you it's easy, if they tell you we have this 5-step formula for you to be severely profitable, second guess that, guys, because if it's easy, everyone would do it, right? And so that's the part where he talks about tricksters and schemers. They don't even, people who are saying those things don't even know that they're scheming, and that's the scary part,
right?
You know.
Well, and I think what might be natural and easy for someone, and it just clicks for them.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You know, so, and that's, I think, the danger of being a coach or, you know, selling some of these digital things is you have to take someone who has never even touched that industry.
And I completely resonate with you because I think I've been guilty of that. I take for granted what I think is easy as really just one of my second talents. And I've had to come to realization of saying, okay, I've done that. I've done it to my husband. When I do something, I'll go and I'll say, Danny, is that a talent? And he'll have to acknowledge me as yes or no, because I'm second guessing myself. I don't want to impose, or I don't want to prejudge or place, what's the word? Anyways, I don't want to sit there and think, oh, you should know that's common sense. No, there's no such thing as common sense.
Nope.
You know?
There's a learning curve to everything.
Yeah, to everything. But yes, sometimes you don't know what your true talent is, and so you expect everyone else to know, and then it isn't easy, and then you go and you talk on YouTube about how easy it is, and so someone, because it's easy to you convince them to think it's easy, and the next thing you know, they're dropping all this money for you to teach them how to do something that you thought was easy, and it's not.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
For the person receiving that information.
Yeah. So, great 5 laws. So the son finally, in the midst of being broke, reads these 5 laws and gets his hustle on, right? And by the time he comes back home to his father, he gets back home, and he brings his dad the coin purse full again, and then he gives him another coin purse.
Two.
Two of them.
Two more coin purses.
He basically doubled what he left home with.
Yeah.
And then he brings the gold tablets back, saying that they were actually more valuable than those 2 gold purses.
He valued the wisdom that was on the tablet more than the gold itself.
Yeah.
Because that was the formula to success.
Yep.
Right? I go through moments where I see people that just, no matter what they do, Grant Cardone is one of them, right? He did the experiment of drop me anywhere. They dropped him in, I don't know, it was in New York. I forget where they dropped him.
Yeah, and he'll make money
like
that.
Because it's a formula. It's a formula that he figured out. I actually dare say he didn't figure it out. Maybe this guy figured it out. Hammurabi figured it out. And then he came in and just dissected that information, made it modern to the times, and rinse and repeat.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. This is, you pick up this book, and I thought at first, ancient wisdom, great. You thought it too.
Yeah.
But I do think there is something, you're right, rinse and repeat. This system is not new to 2024.
Yeah.
At all.
No.
It's not even new to industrial America.
No, it's not.
It's...
So it wasn't 1926, right? The book was written in 1926. Carnegie, right? Was it Flagler, Rockefeller. So you have all these conglomerates that just, they figured out that formula, and then someone went in and said, hey, what are every single one of them doing the same? That could be applied across any industry.
Yeah, that's really the key thing. So some really great base truths in this. The book continues on. There's several other short stories, I guess, within it. The one I really liked is when he gets to a part where an archaeologist is studying some ancient tablets, and, the archaeologist and his wife, they're in debt. They're ashamed to tell their friends, why they can't vacation with them and do things, that the money's really tight. And as he's deciphering these ancient tablets, supposedly from Babylon, there are steps that somebody who was in debt took to pay off his debts and build wealth. And so the archaeologist says, you know what, my wife and I are secretly going to try this. And it's all of these same principles in here. And it lands up working for them. So again, to your point, there's a system.
There's a
Rinse
system.
and repeat.
It's a part, and so just to go on that, part of the system was 10% yes went away. So let's just take it back to the 10 coins, right? The they were dealing with money at that time, but let's just imagine they're still dealing with coins, right? And so they had 10 coins. One of the coins went away to the purse fattening, right? Which is just them putting it away for themselves and their estate, okay? They had 9 left, but what they ended up doing with the other 9, one of those had to go towards paying off their debt. So he went and he made a bunch of phone calls to all the creditors and saying, hey, we need to make a deal. I can't pay you. We need to do this, 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 this. And most of the creditors were like, okay. Some of them were complaining.
Yep.
Some of them were complaining, but he was kind of like, listen, this is what I can do, right? So he went, and so it was another 10th that went away to paying the creditors, which would end up paying them off in like a year or something.
Some of them were paid off really fast, and others took longer. Some were mean about it. Some were like grateful.
Yeah.
But the point is, he paid his debts.
He paid it off. And what ended up happening, so you have 8 coins left. They went and they said, we need to get all of our expenditures, not to the 8 coins left, but to 7. That was the thing. So if their income in was 10, 1 went away to savings, 1 went to debt, 1 went to, I don't know.
Life.
It was just there, right? But they lived on 7. And that is so key, because I've heard this again, the Rich Dad, Poor Dad is another one, Profit First. 70% of whatever you're making, you should not go beyond that for your lifestyle. Live with 70% as your lifestyle. And that's everything, guys. That's mortgage, that's car, that's, whatever it is, 70%.
Yep, absolutely. I love it. We're going to do Rich Dad, Poor Dad this summer, too. Yeah, we'll get a special guest on for that one.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. Yeah, I love these business books. They're amazing. What I love is how he wraps up the book, and how this man is talking to a very wealthy camel merchant. And, the camel merchant basically tells him his story and how he was sold into slavery and worked his way out of it, but he learned various skills and things along the way, and he had some horrible setbacks.
Yeah.
You know, you think you've hit rock bottom. I mean,
that poor guy.
Yeah. And then, but he did that. He then eventually earned his freedom, and he developed and learned a trade and just built, and he followed those 5 laws, the 7 cures. He basically put all of this into action, and you finish the book with this you hear the story of this man who was a slave and now is leading a camel caravan with rings and opulent clothing and everything like that. So it's kind of a way that it ties all of the laws in here together and says, okay, you know, so if you feel like I can't start with nothing, you can do it.
You can. And I dare say lean times ahead, right? Mm-hmm. If you are coming from a dip down from your roller coaster, these can be applied to you as well in order to get back up on that hill.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
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 Such a great book.
Yeah, I really loved it.
Yeah.
I did. I was pleasantly surprised. Like, you know, I started reading, it was thou. I was like, what am I doing? But okay. the principles are there.
But, yeah. And when I think when it clicked for me, I'm like, I've been advised to do this before. This is what we're doing. Aha. I think this also, for those of you who are maybe starting out on a financial freedom pathway, this book is a good kind of, yes, keep going. It's a good cheerleader for you. Because it reinforces that even hundreds of years ago, people were saying, do the same thing. You know, money is money, no matter what country, no matter what form.
Words of the wise. If something stands the test of time, there is a reason for it.
There's an element of truth to it.
Yes.
Or more than an element.
Yeah. So it's listen to it.
Listen, absolutely.
Yeah. Yep.
So, wow, would we say that's a good book?
That's a great book with great booze.
Great booze. Great wine, right?
Yeah, great wine.
You guys, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you're enjoying your summer vacation. I hope you enjoyed this book, or will enjoy it if you haven't watched it or read it yet.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely pick up a book. It's great. I really
and there's so many
it.
different covers. At this point, I think this book is
confused. When you said we're reading, I'm like, which one are we reading?
Well, I think certain things go into public domain and it's available.
Yeah, I found out that someone went and trademarked the name The Richest Man in Babylon, which is what changed the cover. Yeah, but it's still the same thing. Yeah. Either one you find. Either cover you find, pick it up.
Pick it up, grab it, ebook, listen to it, read it. I don't know. You were saying you had listened to it, but now you want to actually.
Yeah, I listened to it because I couldn't pick up a copy in time to come for our recording. So I did, which there's nothing wrong with that. I listen to books all the time. But I listened to it, but I'm a visual person. So for me, there were parts being said that I was like, man, I really want to read it, you know, so it can sink in. And so I'm going to be picking up a copy myself just to have it on in my library.
Have it in your library. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for joining us. Help us grow this tribe, please. Our goal is to grow this tribe, to help people come on this literature and libations journey with us. So please like and subscribe, and more importantly, share. When you share this on YouTube, share it.
Comment too. Let us know if you think. Let us know what you think.
Yes.
You know, do you think I'm annoying and she's better than me? Put it down there. We want to know.
All right, friends. Thanks for joining us. So grab a good book.
Get some great booze.
And grab an amazing buddy to share with us. Thank you.
Thanks,
all right,
guys.
Have a great summer vacation. Bye. Hey, Kev.
Yes.
Oh, perfect. I wasn't sure if you heard me. We're done recording. Now we're just shooting the shit.
Just eating?
Eating. Munch, 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 munch.
I'm gonna feed the girls real quick.
But you can stop the camera.
Okay.